Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Bottled Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. Now, whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Bottled Business Sense show.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Bernard. We're here for another great Bottled Business Sense show. We're here, as you know, every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., and we're here to provide business owners prosperity, in essence. We're here to protect their business and to give them great marketing tips on how to make the business prosper. And that's what the show's all about, and of course it's free information. And I don't know anybody who doesn't like free information. I'm here every week, as always, with my partner Rick Moscoso, who's on the other end. So before I introduce Rick, I just want to mention again, we have a great guest. It's a third show in a four-part series, and his name is Steve Smith of Growth Source Coaching. So I'll say hi to Rick and let him introduce Steve. How you doing this morning, Rick?
Hey, good morning, Bill. I'm doing great. I'm excited. I can't believe it's already the third episode here with Steve. But I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I do have to say you are looking very dapper this morning.
Well, thank you. You know, every once in a while, attorneys do go to court, and it's. I think we were kidding about it before the show started that I can never be chastised for my dress because I'm a mannequin shopper. So I go in, I see it, it's on the mannequin. They've already said it's apropos. I say, give me that. No mixing and matching for me. So having said that, thank you very much.
Yeah. Well,
and we've got a great guest today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I'm excited. Well, this guy by no means is a mannequin, to say the least. He is an excellent business coach, and Bill and I have known Steve for quite some time now, and vetted him through the program and through our own personal experience. So without taking up any more time for Steve, wanted to bring Steve Smith on. Steve is the founder of Growth Source Coaching here in Southern California, Lake Forest, Southern California. And let's bring Steve onto the show, and we'll get rolling into our topic of the day. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful today, Rick. Thank you and Bill for having me on again. This is quite a treat. So I'm really glad to be part of your show for the month of June, and certainly glad to talk about what's on the topic board for today.
Yeah, this is a show I've been looking forward to, Steve, because it has to do directly with dealing with customers and really marketing big time, doesn't it?
It does, and I call it the kind of the secret sauce. It's not my secret sauce. It's been known. People have been doing it for a long time, but there are so many moving parts to a marketing program. And many times people focus on the wrong things up front before they get this particular aspect of marketing really set, really clear. And if you don't do this first, you can waste tons and tons of money and lots of times and have very little to show for it because you haven't addressed how to speak effectively to the people you want to attract, the future customers you want to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, you wonder sometimes how to get into the mind of your customer to better know what he or she wants, and I guess really you're going to provide us some tips on how to do that today, right, Steve?
Yes, and just to set it up a little bit so people have a really full understanding of this, and where I find resistance with this concept is people who have been in business for long periods of time. You know, they might have had a business that was family owned and it's been around for 50 years and they've been at the helm 25 or 30 of it. and they come to me and they say, nothing that I used to do works anymore. I'm just struggling. Sure, we have a client base and that's going fine, but we're not getting anything new. Where the market's changed, we just don't know how to penetrate it. We don't know how to affect anything positive. And so here's the short version of what's happened. Prior to 2000, well, let's say 2003, the internet was kind of up and running. There was a lot of technical advances. Certainly we had the boom at the end of the 90s, but it was all infrastructure. It was all hardware related. And so people were still, to a large extent, driving their marketing through more traditional means, newspapers, magazines, coupons, all the different kinds of things, brochures, flyers, leaflets. What happened in 2003 was kind of a watershed event. What happened was social media sites like Facebook, LinkedIn, MySpace, they all launched. They all got on the internet and they started changing how people communicate. So now it wasn't necessary to talk to somebody on the phone or meet them face to face. You could find out about them. You could communicate them, in a relatively safe environment over the internet. And that was a huge game changer for a lot of people in marketing, because what it meant now was they're playing the game differently. And because so many consumers now they just automatically go to the internet, whether it's a general Google search or it's a LinkedIn connection or a Facebook ad, they have all kinds of ways to figure out what they want well before they ever pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's isn't it really key then to understand how to communicate effectively through that digital platform, even though you're not talking to them directly?
Yes, it is, and it's key for one reason, and this reason kind of it goes beyond just the internet. The internet has now become the 800-pound gorilla in the marketing room, but it works for anything else, for networking, for being out there in your associations, your industry, your market, whatever. Along with the internet and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, what's happened is people have now said, it's not just enough for you to have the right product and the right price. I want to know who you are as a business. I want to know what you stand for. I want to know if I can trust you. And so it's relationships. People are looking for some degree of relationship that basically tells them, okay, I'm looking to buy a new car, and I have half a dozen places I can go to buy that car. My choice now is, who am I going to do business with? Bill, you're in the legal profession. How many lawyers are operating in Orange County?
Well, the number would be incalculable, really.
And even in Rick's case, Rick, probably once a week I get an email from somebody through LinkedIn just introducing themselves as someone that does video marketing, and they want to talk and they want to collaborate. So it's not just a question of how good you are technically. It's really a question of how many choices there are for someone who wants the service, who doesn't really know much about the service. They just know the end result. I want a really good video. That's the choice they're having to make. So it's not just, gee, I do great videos and I've been doing them for 10 years, and I only charge $4.95. You've really got to convince people that the kind of video product and the way you do the video process is a great match for where they are and what they're looking for. Yeah. That's the whole thing behind messaging. You have to know enough about who you're talking. It's just like the comedians. You ever talk to a comedian, somebody that's been successful, and basically they're always going to tell you this: you have to know who you're speaking to. You have to know your audience. Politicians are the same way. The people that speak for a living and get their message out in front of great audiences, they know exactly who they're talking to. So they kind of they weave things according to what people are looking for, and it's no different in marketing.
This whole the marketing and the video and digital age. Steve, I've always thought. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I've always thought that hand in hand with marketing is, in conjunction with that, is communication skills. And I've seen a lot of communication majors who double in marketing and vice versa. A good example of that is yesterday in my office, I'm meeting with a client, and the client said, right out of the blue, I said, by the way, Mr. Bernard, I want to tell you why I chose you as my attorney and why we're meeting here today. And I said, why is that? And she said, because of your videos. and your communication skills. You seemed down to earth. You didn't seem like most other lawyers that I saw on the internet. Now I know I'm puffing a little bit here, but I'm repeating what she said. And those videos were done in conjunction with Rick's skills and, of course, other marketing concepts that I've learned. And you know, boy, that just really plays hand in hand, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When people are looking for products or services, what they're really saying, without saying it, is, I have a problem, I have a challenge, I have an issue, I have something that needs a solution, and I'm out here looking for that best solution. And once I figure out what that is, then I'm trying to figure out who should I be going to for the solution. Who should I be doing business with? So yes, they are looking for a feeling of trust, of comfort. Does this person seem like somebody I could do business with? And quite honestly, if you have a business that's purely transactional, let's say you, I think we talked about this a couple of shows ago. Let's say you make some type of technology components, small items, things that you can't really find in a lot of stores today. So you're selling them online. You're selling them through Amazon. Somebody that's online looking for an item that might only cost 10 or 15 bucks, they might look at your star reviews or something like that, but they're going to select somebody. They're going to get it in the mail. If it works, great. If not, okay, so they've wasted 10 bucks. But it's a transactional sale. There's not a lot of marketing relationship building that goes with it. Some, but not much. Now, let's say, Rick, you're working on a guy who wants to put together a series of commercials with your video, and you're figuring right now it's probably going to take 6 or 8 months to get all of this done. You're going to have frequent meetings, discussions about what the content is. You're going to figure out places to go film, doing the editing. They're going to review it. You've got a relationship that's going to span a period of time. They're going to be looking for a completely different set of criteria for someone that they know they're going to be hooked to at the hip for a while. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Most of the people I coach, it's 9 months a year, and so what their first thing they're looking for me is, can I work with you? If I don't think I can work with you, then it makes no sense to go down this road. And for a lot of businesses, that's what they have to look at themselves as: am I approachable? Am I easy to do business with? And that has to go into your marketing.
And that's a burning question for me, Stephen. I'm sure you've worked with people like this. Okay, so how do you help a prospective client market themselves, get into the head of their potential clients, if you will, if they come into the field not with really not skills? How do you help them develop a marketing effort that will allow them to communicate effectively with their potential clients?
All right, there's 2 things you have to do in order to get through that phase. The first thing is you have to know what your ideal client looks like. And I get into discussions a lot with people. Many people have heard the term. A lot of people know it but don't practice it. And it really boils down to this. As a small business, and I'm talking about anybody that's doing less than $50 million a year, you almost can't afford to waste marketing dollars and resources trying to market to the world. It's really difficult to do that because not everybody wants what you sell. You really have to figure out, who's my best client? Who are the people that I know that I've dealt with in the past that not only got real value from what I sold them, but they like doing business with me as a business. I made it easy for them. They were appreciative. They paid me my price. They didn't haggle down. They didn't take forever to pay. They were that right combination of buyer attributes that I would love to have much more of. You have to get that down on paper. You have to really be clear about what that looks like. Now, that profile can span any number of different industries that you might have products or service that go for. But you have to know that the what I call the demographic, not the psychographics of your ideal client. How do they think? What do they value? What is it? What does their decision-making process look like? What is it they look at as that tipping point between you and the other person they might look at? So you really have to know what that person is first. After that, then it's a process of going out to those folks and talking with them, or most of the time it's a survey process. And what you're really trying to figure out is, what do they like and what do they not like? You have to get those 2 ends of the spectrum, because if you know that, you'll know what to talk to them about in terms of the benefits of doing business with you, And you can also talk to them about the things that you are not, which are maybe things that they've had issues with other suppliers of your service. You have to be able to differentiate between what you don't do and what you do well, so you can get into their stream of consciousness and let them know, hey, I'm viable. I'm what you're looking for. If you're interested, let's talk. You can connect me on something on the internet. You can send me an email, an in-mail, anything you want. But you're really trying to get them to understand that your set of values about what you do and what you offer are in line with what they want.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a twofold thing, right, Rick? I mean, and Steve, you gotta know what they're looking for, and then you've got to have the values that they're looking for, so you can communicate that to them. And I think on a prior show you did for us on a while back, I think you gave a example of a plumber, didn't you, Steve? If I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. That was a show we did a bunch of months back on niche marketing. And we were talking about that, and look, this process applies to just about any business I can think of, whether it's B2C, business to consumer, or business to business. Eventually, there's going to be somebody on the other end of your conversation that has to weigh their options and things they see and hear from you before they say, yes, let's go, let's start. So if you're finding yourself having trouble getting to that point where people are saying, how do we start? I'd like to start. Tell me how we start. What does it cost? They need to get the details at that point. If you're having trouble getting to that point of the conversation, then you really need to go back and look at everything you've done up to that point to figure out why you're not attracting anybody's attention.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned along the way is that to really identifying the buyer attributes is extremely key in today's digital world, because if you, like you said, Steve, if you don't know their psychographic profile when it comes to buying, what are their habits? What do they like? What are their tendencies? And there's all kinds of platforms and data available out there. But unless you have that laser focus, then isn't the quality of your message then suffering if you don't have that up front?
Absolutely. Well, you basically don't have a message that is going to resonate with anybody. And you guys and I, we're all consumers to some degree. We're all out there looking for products and services, on a regular basis. And think about it yourself. Think about the times when you're out, you might be walking around a shopping center, you're going through a business park or an office building. Think of all the different messages and things that are coming at you. Probably most of them you've tuned out to the point where they don't even resonate with you. But we're all being just bombarded daily with TV, with radio, with billboards, with electronic things coming through on your phone, through text and all that kind of stuff. People are trying to get at you all different ways. The things that resonate with you cause you to stop and say, oh, I got to look at this, or maybe I need to check this out. It's because those people have said something that has triggered a want in you.
Mm-hmm. So give us an example. I mean, you've done a lot of research in this. Give us an example of what you do and your strategy to rise above all the digital noise that's out there. So your message catches their attention. What do you do?
Okay, you mean for my own business?
Yes.
Okay. The coaching field today is incredibly crowded. I mean, unbelievably crowded. In fact, I found a research paper by the American Management Association.
We have that in common.
What?
You cut off there, Bill.
So we have that in common. Very crowded field.
Oh yes. You're right. So anyway, I found this study at end of last year. And they went into great depth on all the analysis and the survey work and the research they had done in the coaching industry today as where they see it headed, in the near future. And today there's about 40,000 people in the United States that have the word coach on their business card somewhere. And the whole industry is just mushroomed, okay, to where there are people that aren't really coaches, but maybe what they do is facilitation, so they're using the word coach. And we could go off on a whole tangent about that, and I'm not going to do that. What I had to really figure out was, what do people really want out of a coaching experience? And can I deliver that to them by doing the traditional things that coaches do, or do I have to somehow do a different method that still, has all of the integrity of the coaching process, but delivers way more educational and awareness and transitional value, meaning at some point what I know gets lopped over to what the client wants, and then they make it their own. I had to figure out how to set that up and how to talk to that, so that now when people call me up or meet me at an event or something, and I tell them what I do, it makes sense to them, because I only work with business people. I don't do life coaching or relationship coaching or marriage coaching or any of that kind of stuff. It's all business. If you have an entity that makes money and needs to make more of it, and you have to figure out how to work with the people that you've hired, you're in my wheelhouse. That's what I work with. And I've been in business all my life, and I know that with business, time is money. So while people may want to learn it and adopt it and make it their own, they're also on the clock. So I have to find ways to kind of fast forward this stuff and get them to get on that learning and development curve a lot quicker. And so that's how I've separated myself. I'm kind of an interventionist coach in some ways, because I will get into people fairly deep in order to figure out how to best orient them so they can start having those aha moments that they need to have, so they can pick up the ball and run with it themselves.
So what do you think it is on your, let's take for example your website platform, all right? So somebody, a C-level person or a business owner comes to your site, finds you by way of searching, and what is it do you think stands out on your website, the content on your website that provides enough value, maybe enough bait for them to call you to say how much, what does it cost to retain you?
Between the written message and the video, or I have a lot of radio shows that I've guested on that I put those audio podcasts on there, but it's all content. People that are looking at my site are trying to figure out, does this guy know what he's talking about? Does he have the experience and the capability to help me overcome what I'm not able to do on my own? Does he understand, and is he demonstrated with other clients he's worked with, that he has enough command of business or leadership or better management practices, certainly better marketing strategies, that if I decide to engage him, I'm going to be the benefactor of some of that along the way? They're looking for. They're trying to validate whether I'm any different than anybody else they might be looking at.
Yeah, and that's really the secret sauce, then, isn't it? I mean, putting the right type of bait out there, the right type of content that's laser focused to the buyer's attributes to get the type of customers that you want.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way: if you invited a bunch of people over to your house for dinner. And let's just say you met them one time, but you know really anything about them. You just decided you were going to have a dinner party with 12 people that you might have had a connection with on LinkedIn or a Facebook exchange, or you saw them one time at a networking event, but you knew nothing else. When those folks came into your home, depending on the way you have the table set that they're going to sit at, is going to tell them what they've just walked into. So if you have a wood benches and paper plates and and a beer sitting by every plate and nothing else, they're going to get one particular idea of who you are, what you offer, how you operate, all that kind of good stuff. If you have a nice table set out with a tablecloth and fine china and all the forks and knives are in the right positions and nice glassware and candles and it's just really set up, that conveys a whole different feeling. And the reason I use that example is because everybody has gone to a dinner party before. Everybody's been over to somebody's house for dinner. So you can kind of appreciate that example. But if I go to the extra trouble, and my wife's really good at this. She can really make a dinner party superb because she does those little detailed things. The people that come into that room and see that, immediately they're thinking, wow, this person went to all this trouble for me. It's all about me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it is. When you're in a buying position or you're in a position to make a decision, the first thing you're thinking about, whether you're willing to admit it or not, is what's in it for me. Am I going to be better off from this experience, from this expenditure, or not? And so you have to convey things, whether it's visually, like you own a store, a restaurant, whether you are a service provider like a CPA or lawyer. People, they're going, what they see is going to register in their heads 10 times faster than what they read or what they hear. It's just the way we're all wired.
So would you say, Steve, would it be a fair comment to say, and this is not a rhetorical question, given that, would it be a given that all of the clients that you have to some extent don't know how to adequately speak their customer's language? Is that something that's prevalent in all of your clients, or at some level or some degree, or do you have clients who get that but just need help in other places?
Yes, I have. For the clients that come to me and they have marketing needs, that's one of the biggest issues. They think they know what to say, but what they usually end up saying are all things that they know and they're aware of. Okay, so it's all coming from them. It doesn't necessarily translate to a real attractive message on the receiving end. Here's a great little example of how this works. And I did this at a networking event one night where they asked me to speak. And it was pretty interesting how this worked out. It's called the curse of knowledge. And basically, you guys, you're professionals in your industry, as I am in mine. We all know things about our industry, about how it works, about what we do, about the outcome, that sometimes we have a lot of trouble conveying to someone who doesn't. Okay? So here's a great way to test this, to just get an idea about this. Next time you're in a gathering where you're looking for something to do that'll kind of get everybody talking, tell people that you're going to hum a tune, and you want everybody to try to guess what that tune is. Now, what you do before you start is you find somebody in the crowd that you know, and you bring them over, and you whisper the name of the tune to them. So they already know in advance what you're about to hum. And then you hum a tune. Make it easy. Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, something that would be kind of universally known if you were singing it aloud and everybody was singing with you. Mm-hmm. Hum that tune and see how long it takes for people to figure out what you're humming. You'll be surprised at how hard it is to determine that from you just making some sounds, with pitch in it. Now, the person you've told it, instantly, the minute you start, they're going to recognize it because they know it. Okay? So when you're on the inside, you know certain things that people on the outside might never pick up on if you're not able to translate that information in a nonverbal style. And that's what I try to get clients to think about. Is doesn't matter how much you know. It only matters what you're able to effectively convey to people who have not met you yet and don't know anything about your business.
So in that situation, I mean, that's a great example. Yeah, that's a great example, and I know a lot of business owners probably go through something like this. But what do you do for that person? Where do you have them start to really understand what they should be saying versus what they are saying?
Okay. I have a client now, and she's in the legal field. I won't say any more about that, but we had to get through this process, okay? And she's very knowledgeable, very good at what she does, but she was having trouble attracting clients. And after I looked at her website, I understood why. Her website spoke really well to other lawyers in her field, but to the people that she was trying to get a hold of, there was nothing there that compelled them to say, that's the person I want representing me. So we went through a process where we selected about a dozen of her past clients, and we put together a little survey sheet, and she called every one of them and said, look, I'd like to get your help on this if you're willing to participate. So she got a permission. They all said yes. We sent them the survey, and then we hired one of her friends to call these people back after they had the questions and they kind of knew, call them back and talk to them over the phone and just ask them these questions and get their answers over the phone so that she could write them down. And I told her to do it this way because when somebody outside your business hears responses, they tend to take them verbatim, as opposed to when you hear these responses, if somebody says something negative about their interaction, you're probably not going to take that well. So you might push back. You might try to convince them that they were wrong. That's the entire wrong reason for doing the survey. You really want
Right.
just that fresh, raw data from the people about what they thought, what they liked, what they didn't like, and that's what we did.
Right, and I did a similar thing some time back, Steve, and I found in my profession that the two primary things that clients want are, one, an attorney who can work with them, who's flexible in his fees, his or her fees, whether, depending upon the job that the small business owner needs done. And number two, that they want a quick turnaround. They don't want to give the attorney an assignment and then be forgotten for a couple of months or a couple of weeks. Again, depending on the size of the assignment, of course, but that's the things they wanted. And so consequently, when you try to do this, if you try to do this on your own, or if you take the professional route and hire somebody like yourself, the real point of this show today is that you need to be able to speak your customer's language and do it effectively.
You need to speak their language because you understand where it's coming from. You understand what's important to them, what they don't like, what peeves them off, so to speak. Another really good technique for people that may not have enough clients to go back and survey, or enough willing participants, basically. Go on the internet. Go on Yelp. Go on your industry website. Look at forums where people are reviewing other folks, and try to find people where there's maybe 20 or 30 reviews, and go read the reviews. Don't read the 4 and 5 star ones. Read the ones that are like 2 and 3 stars, because somewhere in all those reviews, people will tell you exactly what they weren't happy with. And then you start making lists of that stuff, and what you're going to find out is if you stay in the same industry and look at different vendors, different companies, those things are going to come up over and over and over and over again. And when you start to realize that, then you have to ask yourself, am I doing any of this myself? Am I just unwittingly doing it because maybe, in our industry it's just the way it goes, it's the way we all operate? Well, guess what? If you're doing that, it doesn't matter if 100 other people are doing the same thing. You're not putting yourself ahead of the pack if you're doing the same kind of things that customers are saying it irritates them. So you have to get rid of the irritations and then turn around and tell them that you don't do this and why you don't do it. People want to know that you care about them, that you're not just selling them something to get money. You're actually getting to know them and providing them a product or service to make their situation better than when they came to you.
Yeah.
And if you can't convey that in your content, you're no better than anybody else out there.
Yeah. Hey, we're running up against the end of the show, Steve, but before we close, can you recall, I would like you to do that, give that plumbing example. I thought that was very, very unique, because we can close the show with that. What was that situation again where there was a plumber who decided to promote his business in a particular way? Do you remember that example?
No, I don't. I remember the fact that we talked about it, but I don't. I wish I did. I would.
Wasn't it something? Didn't it have something? Didn't it have something to do with the way housewives what they wanted or what they perceived?
Oh, okay, all right, good. You triggered my memory there. There's a company out there now, and I'll just say the name once. I won't keep repeating it, but the guy's name is Mike Diamond Plumbing. And he does a lot of radio work. I haven't heard much of him lately, but last year he was all over the place. And basically what they figured out was that when you show up to a home or a condo or whatever to do plumbing, most of the time you're being met by a woman, the wife or whatever. And so what they found out was, women typically, they don't like to open the door or interface with anybody that looks like they just crawled out from under, from a sewer pipe or something. So what this guy figured out was he's going to send plumbers over there that are dressed professionally, they speak professionally, they don't smell, they're nice people to work with. And whether or not people ultimately decide that they're going to go with this company or not, it's immaterial. The fact is he has distinguished himself from most of the rest of the plumbing industry with a very unique message. If you want a plumber that's going to show up on time, dress well, look good, smell nice, do the job, here we are. All he did was focus in on one attribute of the marketing practice, and he went crazy with it.
Yeah, he's known
They're
as.
They're going to show up looking like diamonds. They're going to show up looking like diamonds, right?
He's the smell good plumber, right?
That's right. And see, now when people hear the name, that's the first thing they think about. That's excellent branding, because he's done it repetitively enough, and he's gotten to the core of something that people have an issue with in that industry, in construction in general, and he's found a way around it. Now, you can argue that maybe he's no better than any other plumber, that they might charge more than other plumbers. I don't know. I've never used him. All I do is look at the attractiveness of his marketing campaign and recognize that he has somehow lifted himself above the pool of plumbers out there you can choose from.
Well, Steve, again, another informative show. We appreciate it very much. With the remaining few minutes, tell everyone where they can get a hold of you and what's in store for us for our final show next week.
Okay, if your marketing is running aground and you're just going through the motions, you're spending money, and you're just not getting what you want, give me a call. We should have a talk. If nothing else, I could give you an idea as exactly what you're going to have to do in order to turn that around. You can go to my website at growthsourcecoaching.com. You can read up about me and a lot of the publications and information I put there. Some of it's very helpful you can do on your own. But you can send me an email from there. You can call me directly at 949-951-9163. And like I said, I'll be glad to talk with anybody, 15, 20 minutes, because most of the time I can give them enough really good insight that they can at least go back and think about what they need to change in order to improve their own situation. So that's what I do, and I do it well, and a lot of people love it, and so I'm glad to do it for you. Now, Bill, next week we're going to be talking. This is the fourth in the 4-part June series.
Right.
Next week we're going to be talking about why achieving excellence matters to highly successful people. Mm-hmm. And I have 10 principles that I've developed on the things that business people can do, and they're not huge steps to get yourself on a path to excellence. Because if you are operating or pursuing excellence in everything you do, it has tremendous effects in the people that are around you, the people who work with you, the customers you work with, the colleagues you network with. You don't have to tell them that you're on this 10-path series to achieving excellence. They will feel it and see it just by how you operate. And I can't think of a better way to have a sustainable, successful business than to be a successful business person.
That's right. It'll be in effect a domino effect, and I urge all my employer clients out there to tune in and listen as well. So again, Steve, thanks very much. Great show again. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And with that, Rick, any final thoughts for Steve?
Well, this has been a great 3-part of a 4-part series so far. And Steve, I want to thank you for sharing your insight, giving us some valuable tips that I know business owners can start using immediately. And then, of course, if they need more help out, then they can always call on issues. But really looking forward to next week, because I think this is really a culmination of all the shows put together, and how they can really ramp up in their businesses and get laser focused to get the type of customers that they're looking for. So thank you again, Steve. Really appreciate it. And folks out there, thanks for joining us again here on the Bottle Business Sense Show. We'll be back here next week on Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here, same time, same place. On behalf of Bill Bernard, my co-host on the other side, Steve Smith, our guest host for today, we want to thank everyone for joining us, and we'll see you guys again next week right here on the Bottle Business Sense Show.
Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody.